You guys, it is that time of year again. We are officially 6 months into 2024, which means that it's time to do the mid-year book freakout tag.
We do this video every single year, and every time we get to this point, we're always just so shocked at how it's already the middle of the year. For 2024, my reading goal is 100 books, and I'm at 50, so...
You're right there. You're on track. I've read 44 books so far this year, and in 2023, I read a total of 95 books. So if I'm comparing this year to last year, I'm basically reading at the same pace. So we'll see how many I end up reading at the end of the year, but 44 is not too bad. We do have the list of questions here in front of us, so we're about to get started, but we did recently do a top 10 books of 2024 so far video, so definitely watch that if you haven't, because we've talked about a lot of our favorites over there, but I did try to not pick a lot of the same ones.
I did not try to do that, but it's fine.
So question number 1 is, what is the best book you've read so far in 2024?
It's gonna be my 5-star read, which is Lady Tan's Circle of Women by Lisa C. Who knew I was going to be such a historical fiction girly? It's like more meaningful. Do you know what I mean? It's like real things that have happened in crazy times, but you throw in a fiction story in it and it's just, it hits different. This one really just blew my mind. I think it's the only book that I've given 5 stars this year, just because I'm insanely picky with my 5 stars. It was just absolutely crazy learning how the women in China were treated in the 1500s. When I did read the acknowledgments, I found out that Lady Tan was actually inspired by a real Chinese physician in the 1500s, and this author actually read that person's book and like all of the cases that they went through, so she was able to add all of that into this book. So it's a completely different experience, and I absolutely loved it. It is my favorite book of this year so far.
I have read 2 5-star books so far this year, but I went over those in the favorites video, so I brought a new one for today, and it is If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio. I read this book months ago, and I still am thinking about it. It's one of the rare times that I understand the hype surrounding it. I understand why it has a cult following. It's a dark academia setting. The writing is very descriptive and poetic. There's this huge mystery that's unraveling throughout the whole book. There's friendships, there's love, there's loss, there's betrayal. I ate up this whole book, and then I cried at the end of it. So I highly recommend if you have not read it yet, but I definitely think it's like one of my favorites so far of 2024.
Question number 2 is, what is the best sequel you've read so far in 2024?
I actually haven't read as many as I thought that I had, but I decided to go with 2 Twisted Crowns by Rachel Gillig. This is book 2 in the Shepherd Kings duet. Book 1 was One Dark Window, and everyone was loving it. I thought this was an excellent sequel. I always love when the second book in the series picks up exactly where book 1 left off. We do get the same 2 POVs that we get in book 1, plus an additional POV, so I loved getting to know a new character as well. This duet is known for its unique magic system. The plot was also really interesting. There was a little bit of a romance, there was action, and really good banter. This is one of my favorite duets of 2024 this year.
For me, I picked X's and O's by Amy Lee. This is the second book in the Influencer series, and I really liked it, and I didn't think I was going to, because I didn't love Set on You, which was the first book in the Influencer series, but this one was just such a cute rom-com. It's one of those super easy, light, fast-paced reads. I think the plot of this one was super cute, because we have the girl who's trying to find somebody to date while she has this new roommate, and of course he's this hotshot guy and he doesn't want to date anybody, but he's trying to help her find somebody, and they're getting closer and closer, and they have all these really cute moments. So definitely recommend this one, especially if you didn't like Set on You. You gotta keep going.
So question number 3 is, what is a new release that you have not yet read?
The Housemaid is Watching. Frida McFadden came out with another Housemaid book, but you know what? I haven't read the one before that, so I have 2 I need to read. But yeah, I believe it came out June 11th, so it's time for me to read both of them.
A book I haven't read yet, but I want to, is Bride by Ellie Hazelwood. I know you've read it. I haven't yet. I was just really excited for this one because it is Ellie Hazelwood's fantasy debut. I know there's vampires and werewolves and an arranged marriage. It just sounds like something I would really be into. I've just been holding out to get the hardcover, so I will 100% be reading it this year. I feel like it's time.
Question number 4 is, what is your most anticipated release for the second half of 2024?
I am so excited for this book to drop, and it is called The Wedding Witch by Erin Sterling. It comes out October 8th. You know how much we love Erin Sterling's like spooky October rom-coms. She did The Ex-Hex and The Kiss Curse, and we love those books. I was so sad that last year she didn't release any books for Halloween, so this year she is, and I'm so excited for it. These always just have the perfect spooky Halloween setting. The romances are always really cute, so this is one I'm definitely gonna have to buy as soon as it comes out.
For me, it's gonna be Play Along by Liz Tomford. It comes out July 11th. and I have been waiting since last year for this one. Liz Tomford is the queen of adult sports romances. Every time I read one of her books, I'm like, this is my favorite one. And then I read the next one and I'm like, okay, no, this one is my favorite. I really like that all of her romances revolve around professional sports and adults, because most of the time when you think of sports romances, you think of college kids or high school kids, but it's nice being an adult perspective, if that makes sense. But yeah, I'm really excited for Play Along. I know who the characters are going to be, so I'm ready for that one to be my new favorite.
Next question is, what was the biggest disappointment this far in the year?
I'm going to have to go with my first DNF of the year, which is Shipwrecked by Olivia Dade. And it is so sad because I have been so excited to read this one. I picked it as my blind book for the month. And y'all know when I opened this one, I was over the moon. I'm like, oh, this is perfect for this month. And I started it and I just immediately was like, this isn't going to work for me. And it's so sad because it just feels like smut after smut after smut, but I don't feel any connection for these characters. I don't know what's happening. And these two characters are actors and they're like on this set, and I love books like that, but this one I'm just not connecting with these people at all. I don't care about what they're going through. I just don't feel any sort of connection. So I had to DNF. I'm gonna say this is my most disappointed read so far.
That sucks.
Very much.
I think it's interesting that both of our most disappointing stems from the fact that we haven't connected. Like, that's the only thing. It's not even bad writing. It's the fact that we couldn't connect to the story or the characters. And that's how I felt about this book, unfortunately. Don't come at me. I will explain myself. But I chose Jade City by Fonda Lee. And like I said, this is not at all a bad book. It wasn't bad writing. I could not connect at all. I was not invested. I didn't really think it got interesting until 50% into the book, and I don't think it needs to take that long for me to want to keep reading. I really just think this was a huge disappointment for me personally because I assumed it was going to be a 5-star read, and I think I maybe gave it a 3.5, which is still a solid book. I just had such high expectations for it. I thought this entire series was going to be like my new personality. I thought I was going to love it and binge all the books, and that just wasn't the case, so I'm really upset about it. I will say though, I did like the world. I loved the jade and learning about like the jade magic and the abilities and everything. There was something about the storytelling, I guess. Feels like you're watching everything happen rather than experiencing it with the characters, and that's something that I was missing. So I'd say biggest disappointment just because it wasn't the 5 stars that I predicted. I wish it was.
So opposite of that, number 6 is what is the biggest surprise this far?
Okay, mine was Call Me By Your Name by Andre Aciman. Just because I went into this book not knowing what it was going to entail, I assumed it was going to be a really lighthearted queer romance story for the summer, and it was devastating. It was so sad. I was not emotionally prepared, and I think that's what shocked me the most. The way the author was able to write about love and lust and longing. It was just a really beautiful but devastating, sad love story. I definitely want to watch the movie. This is one of those books though that I think I will eventually have to reread so I can annotate everything. But definitely a shocker for this year, a surprise, because delivery was just a bit jarring. I wasn't ready for it.
So I ended up picking The Only One Left by Riley Sager. Let me explain this because I have read a lot of good Riley Sager books, but this one was actually fantastic. And a lot of Riley Sager books, I find that the stories are like a lot of mystery thrillers where it's kind of like slow and then it goes crazy at the end. I think this one was just crazy the entire time. It had me fully locked in throughout the entire story. It was all playing effortlessly like a movie in my head. And then, of course, when we did get to the end, the twist just kept twisting and they didn't stop. I was in a twister. One of my new favorite mystery thrillers by far.
Next question is, who is your new favorite author, debut, or new to you?
I didn't have a lot to pick from here, and I don't want to hear anything about this answer that I have, but I'm gonna go with Lauren Roberts. I think she's so cute, and I really liked this book. I know a lot of people had a lot of beef with this book because it reminded them of a whole bunch of things, and I understand that because I also felt like it reminded me of The Hunger Games, but I still had a really good time with this book, and I'm still patiently waiting for more from this series. And Lauren Roberts is so cute on TikTok. I know she started when she was really young, so I really like her and I want to support her and read everything that she comes out with.
For my answer, I feel like it might kind of be cheating because technically I did read a book by this author years ago, but I didn't appreciate it. And this year I've read 2 books by her. It's Mona Awad. I read All's Well and Rouge this year. After reading these 2 books, I've realized that I am a huge fan of her. She is my new auto-buy author. Anything she releases, I'm gonna buy and can read. Her writing style is insane. It's unlike anything else that I've ever read. It's always a little bit unsettling and sometimes bizarre, but it's absolutely genius. I'm actually kind of sad that I read Bunny so long ago because I definitely did not appreciate it for what it was. I had no idea what was going on. Now that I'm used to the way that she writes, I think I'd have like a newfound love and respect for that book, so I might have to revisit it now that I know what to expect. But I devoured both of these books. I think about them all the time. I cannot wait to read more from her. She's definitely like one of my new favorite authors for this year.
Question number 8 is, who is your newest fictional crush?
This one was so hard for me to answer. I don't think I've read enough romance this year because I could not think of anyone. I really had to just pick someone, and I decided to go with a series I've recently read, which was the Never King series. I believe this is book 2, and I'm telling you, I mean, I just kind of had to pick someone. I know that I had a crush on Vane in this series. Out of all like the boys and the Lost Boys and everything, he was the one that stuck out to me. Anytime he had a scene, I was like kind of giddy about it. But even then, I mean, I'm gonna forget this man in like 2 weeks' time. But I will say I had a crush while I was reading them, so I'll say Vane. I need to read some more romance, I guess.
I also had a really hard time picking somebody for this, and I think it's because I'm not really in the middle of a series, and normally when I have a fictional crush, it's like somebody from the Addicted series or somebody from ACOTAR, you know, somebody from a series and not just a standalone. So it was so difficult for me to pick, but I just went with Justin from Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. I just remember this character had a lot of responsibility to handle all of a sudden out of nowhere, and I think he handled it really well, and I loved the way that he was with our girlie in this book, and I think he was just a really great man overall. So I'll say Justin is my crush.
The next question is, who is your new favorite character?
So back to Powerless. I'm gonna go with Peyton. She was just a crazy character. She had to pretend like she had some sort of power in order to survive, and I love her, and I can't wait to see where her story goes.
So I decided to choose, you guys are sick of hearing me talk about this series, I know it, but I promise it's the last time. One of my new favorite characters is from the Hades series by Tate James. I feel like I'm always talking about this series, but that's okay. This was a spin-off series to the Madison Kate series, which I loved. They're both like dark reverse harem series, but there's a character named Hayden, and I am obsessed with her. Anytime we have a strong female character, I'm always gonna root for them. I always love it when like our girl can fight, she doesn't take any crap from anyone, she stands up for herself, pretty much the opposite of me. But anytime we have someone like that, I'm gonna love them. So that was Hayden for me. I'm gonna miss her now that I'm done with this series. But when I read this question, I knew I had to pick her. She's definitely a favorite character of mine now.
So the next question is, what is a book that made you cry?
And we both picked the same exact book, which is One Italian Summer by Rebecca Serrell. You guys, we read this book together. We filmed a reading vlog that will be coming out soon, but I cried during this book.
Yeah, it was page 4 and I was crying, so there's that.
We knew going into it this was going to be a sad book because our main character is grieving the loss of someone really important to her, but while it was sad, it was also like very heartwarming, the entire story. The setting was beautiful, the descriptions made me want to go. Like, I fully want to book a trip to Italy now. Once we got to like the last like 4 or 5 chapters, I was just crying on and off. So we definitely had a fun time with this one. That reading vlog will be out soon. Highly recommend if you haven't read it yet. You might shed a tear or two, but it was a very like lovely heartfelt story. So opposite of that, what is a book that made you happy?
I went with Float by Kate Marchant. This one was just really cute. In this one, we just have a big group of kids and they live in this like beach town and they're all just hanging out and having a great time and making all these fun memories. All these people made me really happy, and all the things that they learned and overcame and all their experiences. So I'm gonna go with this one. I think this one's a really good, fun and light beach read.
For this question, I decided to go with Check and Mate by Ellie Hazelwood. This was a recent read of mine. It is a really fun YA contemporary. There's a little bit of romance. There's an interesting plot. It was just an easy read, but entertaining all the way through. I'd say this one made me happy. I really like it's not necessarily banter between our 2 main characters, but they're kind of like competitors in a way, so there's like a little bit of back and forth with that. I really enjoyed it though. I think last year it was hard for me to pick a happy book because I hadn't read many, but this was a good one for this year.
Number 12 is, what is the most beautiful book you've bought or received this year?
I actually You guys will be proud of me. I haven't really bought any special edition or collector's editions this year yet, whereas last year I feel like I was buying a whole bunch of different things. But ones that I think are really pretty that I have are the Boys of Tommen new release limited editions. The first print of the new release covers had like this pretty colorful spine, and my boyfriend pre-ordered all of those for me, so thank you. I'll put a picture here of what they look like when they're all stacked, but it's really cool. It's like an ombre effect. I feel like that's the only thing that I've gotten that's really cool this year. I'm sure that'll change though by the end of the year.
For me, I went with Daughter of the Pirate King and Daughter of the Siren Queen and these beautiful covers. I really love the sprayed edges. I'm such a sprayed edge girly.
Me too.
If anything has a sprayed edge, I want it immediately. I also like how these have the little bookmark string in it. I mean, what's not to love about that? They are so gorgeous. And then I also have this beautiful cover of The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. Lauren actually got this one for me for my birthday because I actually didn't own it. I borrowed yours when I read it. Look how beautiful that is. And it also has a beautiful little ribbon bookmark in it. I think I want to reread this.
That book is so... I actually can't ever revisit that story.
I think we read it a little too early in our reading journey, you know? Like, we didn't even appreciate what we were reading.
No,
so
I appreciated it.
I think I would appreciate it even more now. So I think I really want to reread this. And I'm not a reread girly.
We are here at the last question, which is the most loaded one of them all. What books do you need to read before this year ends?
I actually need y'all to just bully me about this at this point. Because why haven't I finished this freaking series yet? I need to read A Court of Silver Flames already. It's like to the point now where I'm just like slowly forgetting every time that the months pass, you know? Now I'm gonna have to watch a whole video about everything that's happened because I'm slowly forgetting everything. And then it's like, I love that all these new people are reading, but now I feel so left behind because I haven't finished it. And then everyone is also reading Throne of Glass, and now I'm way behind on that too. So I'm like, do I even read it at this point?
You have to read this book. It's fantastic.
Well, bully me into reading it.
We're starting it today.
Today. I have to finish this. At least this one by the end of the year. And hopefully start Throne of Glass. I'm not going to try and say that I need to finish Throne of Glass by the end of the year, but I would like to have at least started it.
I'll make that happen.
Okay.
I have the same answer as last year. I have the exact same series that I said for this question last year. And it's a freaking Zodiac Academy, you guys. This is a never-ending series. I don't know why. I just need to sit down and binge the last 3 books that I have. It's ridiculous, though, that this book wasn't even supposed to come out. This is 8.5? Why are you releasing half books now? At this time last year, I had 3 books left, 7, 8, and 9. This time this year, I still have 3 books left. 8, 8.5, and 9. So it's ridiculous, but I do love this series. I was not impressed with book 7. I'm hoping 8 and 8.5 redeem it for me because I need to see how it ends. I cannot believe it's 2024 and I'm still reading this series. I feel like I started it forever ago. Hold me accountable. Make sure I read it by the end of the year. I cannot believe it's 2024 and we're doing a mid-year tag.
I'm ready for pumpkin, so I'm fine.
I cannot believe time is flying so fast. We always love doing this tag though because we're able to reflect on everything that we have read so far this year.
But it is officially summer, so we do plan to read a whole lot more during these next few months. And we also did just film an entire summer reading vlog, and we will be putting that out next.
Yeah, so let us know in the comments what your favorite book of 2024 has been and your most disappointing.
Or answer all the questions if you want.
We'll read them. That's pretty much it for today's video though. Make sure to join our Literal Besties book club if you haven't already. This month we are reading Funny Story by Emily Henry. We haven't even started it yet. That link will be in the description. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and we will see you guys next time. A new release you haven't read yet. It's fine. I guess that's a given.
Okay. I clearly won't.
Sorry my dogs are out. I couldn't find socks.
She got some dogs. Liz Tomford is just the queen.
That's it.
Period.
She's the queen.
No,